and that's the Electoral College. And we're not even running it right. Are we? If we were running it right and we were a republic, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution guarantees me what? A republican form of government. It guarantees every individual in every state in the Union a republican form of government. Guarantees it. Okay? What's the hallmark of a republican form of government? Representation, right? The hallmark of a republic is representative government. Is it not? Okay. So if that's representative government, Madison, when we get to 51, he's going to let us know that that we are a compound republic. Because Montesquieu, who wrote The Spirit of the Law, was the quintessential expert on all republics, both ancient and modern. He said you cannot have a republic on a large tract of land. And the Anti-Federalists in 51 argue Madison, because Madison says we need a republican form of government because it's the only good kind of government, and he cited Montesquieu in that. The Anti-Federalists came back and cited Montesquieu and said, aha! But Montesquieu said we can't have a republic on tracts of land as big as our colonies. And that's when Madison came back and went, aha! That's why the state is not a republic. We're going to break them up into smaller sections that are a compound republic. In Michigan, we have 83 republics in Michigan. Now, as we put together congressional districts, that each one gets one electoral college vote, that congressional district becomes a republic, does it not? Because it's represented, that district, that republic, is represented on the federal level by my congressman, right? Are we following? So if I'm guaranteed a republican form of government by Article 4, Section 4, which must be representative, and my congressional district is a republic, and I have a representative from there, then in the Electoral College, when we vote for president every 4 years, I'm voting for that one Electoral College vote. So whoever gets the majority vote in that republic has to be represented, don't they? But in Michigan, we decided that the state is a republic. Why? Because nobody ever read Montesquieu or the Constitution or the Federalist Papers. So, if my republic voted overwhelmingly for candidate A, but they gave my Electoral College vote to candidate B because they went by the majority vote in the state, which is too big to be a republic, did they not violate Article 4, Section 4? Yes, they did. And if my legislature voted 40 years ago that that's the way they were going to do it, did they violate Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2? That says that the electors will be picked by the legislature thereof, by the state legislature thereof. That means the one that's representing me, the one I voted for, not the one that my grandfather voted for, but the one that I voted for. So do you see how we don't follow the Constitution and we all sit around and go, well, but that's the way we've done it, and the Supreme Court didn't say that it was wrong. That's because the Supreme Court doesn't get to decide what is and isn't constitutional. We do. And until there's a huge outpouring and crying to our legislatures about, hey, Article 4, Section 4, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, why wasn't I represented in this last vote? Where's my representation? And demanding it, then we're going to have to suffer with things that aren't constitutional as we get shoved into a direct democracy and then watch our children and our grandchildren go through the violent death of the democracy as it goes into a socialist revolution. You see how close we are? Do you see why it's so important to understand these principles that are talked about? The principles are more important than the words of the Constitution itself. The principles are important. And when you start understanding the principles and you can combat morons that want to claim that we need a national popular vote because it's we the people, you can explain to them how stupid they are. And you can fight their misinformation with the truth. But you can't do that if you don't know the principles. This is the first step, right here. So he ended the Federalist 41 as he ended all of them, Publius. Any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms? Go ahead.
I'd like just to add a couple things since Rome was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
What led to the fall of Rome? Here's a few things, and does it sound familiar in the United States today? Lost wars, numerous of those.
Mm-hmm.
Over-reliance of slave labor, China.
Mm-hmm.
Rise of the Eastern Empire, you can see that happening now. Over-expansion and military overspending.
Mm-hmm.
Government corruption and political instability.
Mm-hmm.
Unregulated immigration.
Mm-hmm.
Christianity lost of traditional values.
Yep.
Society being overwhelmed by entertainment.
Uh-huh.
Free handouts.
Yep.
And the last emperor was Romulus Augustus. He was the youngest emperor there, and inexperienced, and the Germans knew it, and they seen an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to take him out, and they did just that.
And the problem is look, our founders studied that history. They knew it. They knew what the precursors were. What was it that Patrick Henry said? I have but one lamp to guide my footsteps, and that's the lamp of experience. I know no way of judging the future but by the past. Do you understand why they took history out of your John Dewey model of public school that was set up on the Communist Manifesto by John Dewey, who was an ardent socialist? Do you understand in the 50s why Khrushchev said, communism will overtake your country without firing around, and we laughed at him because we were arrogant? He saw the John Dewey model that was set up on the Communist Manifesto for 30 years operating in this country. He knew what the end point was. He already knew we were on that highway. He warned us and we laughed. Why? Because we're so much smarter than everybody, right? We had the Geneva Convention. Oh, you can't have biochemical weapons. Then what do? We set up 26 biochemical labs in Ukraine. We judged the Germans on the Nuremberg Code. Said, oh, you can't do human experimentation on people and eugenics is wrong. What do we do in our medical facilities today? What are we doing with the shot? Tell me that's not a violation of the Nuremberg Code. But yet we go, oh, but this is America. That was for the Germans. No, a principle that's true is true for everybody in every situation. We're hypocrites. And we got to stop being that. So, thank you for bringing that up. So, any other? If not, thank you very much for coming tonight. Let's see what next week is. 45. I think next week is 45. Yep. 45, my favorite part of 45 is right down at the bottom of chapter 6. So if you get a chance to read that, he absolutely defines where the power and sovereignty of the federal government is and where the power and the sovereignty of the states are. And it'll shock you. Be careful on the way home. We'll see you next week. Oh yes, turn your pagers to